أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال المصنف رحمه الله: ونسمي أهل قبلتنا مسلمين مؤمنين ما داموا بما جاء به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم معترفين وله بكل ما قال وأخبر مصدقين. The author At-Tahawi rahimahullah then says, as for all those who face our Qibla, we call them Muslim and Mu'min, so long as they profess what the Prophet ﷺ taught and believe in whatever he said or enjoined.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. The author rahimahullah ta'ala just finished talking about the articles of faith. أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وأن تؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. The last point, the author, as you remember, the author spoke about other articles of faith, believing in the angels, believing in the prophets, believing in the books of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and we explained them in a very general way, but providing with the main meanings of believing in each of those articles of faith. The author rahimahullah ta'ala started to speak about other relative things other than the articles of faith, but they are very related to the creed itself, and those things that the author started to speak are very relevant to the articles of faith. One way to link between what he started to speak about and what he mentioned previously is to say that the author wanted to say that those are the articles of faith, and now we want to speak about those who deny those articles of faith. Basically, we want to speak about those who believe in those articles of faith and the rulings regarding those who might not believe on those articles of faith, or some of them. And that's why he started to speak about Ahl al-Qibla. So let us define, first of all, those who follow those articles of faith. How do we know them? And to lay that foundation, and then later on we can speak about those who reject some of those articles of faith. So it is very important to start in an academic way and to lay the foundation of the definition of the believers, and then to speak about disbelieving or disbelievers. So the author rahimahullah ta'ala here defined Ahl al-Qibla and spoke about Ahl al-Qibla and some of the rights of Ahl al-Qibla, or in fact the fundamental rights of Ahl al-Qibla. So he gave the definition of those who believe, generally speaking, about those articles of faith, and the rights of those people who believe on those articles of faith. And he called the people who believe, generally speaking, in al-Islam as Ahl al-Qibla. Those people who believe in al-Islam, as we said before, that the foundation of al-Islam is based on believing in these articles of faith. So he called them Ahl al-Qibla. And this term Ahl al-Qibla has been used by so many scholars, and they always refer to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith Anas in Sahih al-Bukhari, when the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man salla salatana wa istaqbala qiblatana wa akala dhabihatana fahuwa al-Muslim." In one narration, in the narration of Sahih al-Bukhari, wa akala dhabihatana, and he ate our meat, فذلك المسلم الذي له ذمة الله وذمة رسوله فلا تخفر الله في ذمته من صلى صلاتنا واستقبل قبلتنا وأكل ذبيحتنا فذلك المسلم له ذمة الله وذمة رسوله فلا تغفر الله في ذمته. The translation of this important hadith, which is reported in Sahih al-Bukhari, the one who prays our salah, and the one who faces our qibla, and the one who eats our meat or our sacrifice, then he is the Muslim. He is the Muslim. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَلَهُ ذِمَّةُ اللَّهِ وَذِمَّةُ رَسُولِهِ, or in one narration, فَلَهُ ذِمَّةُ اللَّهِ, means he deserves the protection of Allah Jalla wa'ala and the protection of His Messenger. فَلَا تُخْفِرُ اللَّهَ فِي ذِمَّتِهِ, don't break the covenant of Allah and His Messenger, or don't be treacherous to the covenant of Allah Jalla wa'ala by being treacherous to this person who prayed our salah, who faced our qibla, and who ate our sacrifice. Now, this hadith, they use it, as we said, to define Ahl al-Qibla. First of all, what do we mean by Ahl al-Qibla? What do they mean, the scholars, when they mentioned Ahl al-Qibla? They meant that those people who are called Muslims in the dunya, and those people who are eventually going to go to paradise in the akhirah. So two important points. We name them as Muslims, we deal with them as Muslims in the dunya. This is the rulings related to the dunya. And in terms of the rulings related to the akhirah, they will go eventually to paradise, even if they were punished in the fire of hell. What does that mean? It means that they might be sinful people, they might be bad people, they might be people of bid'ah, they might have some main mistakes, whether in beliefs or in actions, but at the end of the day, they are Muslims, and at the end of the day, in the hereafter, they will go to paradise. So those people are Ahl al-Qibla. Now the discussion is how to define those people. How to define those people who deserve to be Muslims, and hence they deserve the protection of Allah and His Messenger in the dunya. We have to treat them as Muslims, so we have to give them the protection that Allah Jalla wa'ala gave to Muslims. This is the key question, how to define them. Now here the hadith said, Man salla salatana, those who pray our salah. So those who pray our salah, for sure, they believed in Allah and they believed in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because those who pray our salah, they cannot pray our salah unless they believe in Allah and believe in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, generally speaking. And they believe and submit to Allah and His Messenger. They submit to Quran and Sunnah, not one of them, to both of them. And also they face our qibla, means they attribute themselves to Muslims who follow or who face the qibla in their salah, in their sacrifice, and in other matters. They face the qibla means they attribute themselves to Islam and to the people of Kaaba. So this is the second important point. وَأَكَلَ ذَبِيحَتَنَا, it means that this person, he believes that the sacrifice belongs to Allah Jalla wa'ala. So if there is any sacrifice that has been slaughtered on the name of Allah Jalla wa'ala, then he will eat it, and he will not find that this is kufr. See, he doesn't see that this is kufr, so he doesn't eat it. He refuses to eat it. It means that this person believes in Allah and His Messenger, and he believes he believes that generally speaking in the Quran and Sunnah. So this is the person of the Qibla. Now see, this topic is quite important, very fundamental topic, and that's why we are taking some time in explaining it. Because once we define Ahl al-Qibla like this, some people will say, this means that we cannot pronounce takfir upon any person who believes in the Quran and Sunnah, generally speaking, even if this person commits an act of kufr. And we say no. We have to believe in Quran and Sunnah in its totality, in their totality. So it's true that the Prophet ﷺ defined the people of Ahl al-Qibla like this, but the Prophet ﷺ as well himself, he is the one who announced takfir on some people who attribute themselves to Ahl al-Qibla. If they do certain actions, like, for example, the Prophet ﷺ said, من أتى عرافا فصدقه بما يقول فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد. The one who comes to a fortune teller and he believes in what he says, then he has disbelieved in what Allah Jalla wa Ala sent to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So this fortune teller, he's the kahin or the arraf. If a person goes to him and believed in what he says, then he has rejected Quran and Sunnah, although he claims that he is Muslim. So this is what the Prophet ﷺ said. Also, Allah Jalla wa Ala said, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. So if there is a person who attributes himself to Quran and Sunnah, and he says that he is from Ahlul Qibla, but he rejected ruling by the rule of Allah Jalla wa Ala totally, completely, as we will explain. Don't take it without some details. There are some explanation and some bawabit, some rules and regulations regarding pronouncing takfir on such person. But the point is, although those people claim that they belong to Ahlul Qibla, Allah Jalla wa Ala himself said they will be al-kafirun. They are going to be al-kafirun if they rule by any ruling other than the rule of Allah Jalla wa Ala. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. The point is, so what is the point of Ahl al-Qibla? The point of Ahl al-Qibla is to say, generally speaking, if there is a person who submits to Quran and Sunnah according to this explanation, then in the dunya we must deal with him or with her as a Muslim. We cannot deal with them as kuffar unless they bring a clear or they profess kufr. Unless they profess kufr. And we will come to the details of kufr and how can you announce kufr upon a person. If they do not profess kufr, then they are Muslims, even if they are mubtadi', even if they are evil people, and they are protected by the protection of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So this is the understanding of Ahl al-Qibla, and this is the understanding of this hadith in comparison to the other ahadith. And we cannot use this hadith to say that, well, there is no takfir whatsoever. No, that is not right. Also, we should remember this hadith when we deal with people, generally speaking, that as the author rahimahullah ta'ala here said, as they profess what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught, as they profess what Allah Jalla wa Ala mentioned in his book, then we have to treat them as Muslims. Inshallah, the matter is clear. Of course, there are many other details regarding pronouncing takfir on a person and the rulings of takfir that inshallah will follow. There is another point here that the author rahimahullah ta'ala said, وَنُسَمِّي أَهْلَ قِبْلَتِنَا مُسْلِمِينَ مُؤْمِنِينَ. We call the people of Qibla Muslimin Mu'minin. What did he mean by Muslimin Mu'minin? Is Muslim and Mu'min the same thing, or are they different? You know, this is a well-known mas'ala that will be explained inshallah in more details in the coming points, in one of the coming points. But generally speaking, scholars said that if we mention both of them together, it means we want to elaborate certain differences between both of them. Okay? But if we were talking about Islam in general, then we mean Iman. if we mention Iman in general without mentioning Islam next to it, it means that we are talking about Iman and Islam as one thing. So the scholars said if they come together, they split. If they split, if they were mentioned in different places, then the meaning is the same. So if they split, they are together. If they are together, they split. This is how we understand it, and inshallah we will explain it further in the future.